What are some crazy RSD stories that you can share?
I mean, there's so many, right? I think one of the funniest stories was Owen and I talking to guys. There was this one time guys were telling us about, remember this one guy in a program in New York, and a guy was saying that you have to be very alpha and masculine, which alpha is not even, it's kind of funny how much that word has kind of gotten bastardized and used. It's like there's all these people on YouTube with millions of views who hate on the word alpha. Then there's all these guys who are pretending to be alpha and fight back, and it's this weird kind of thing. Then there's like the Sigma guys, and it's all these different kind of funny TikToks and YouTube videos about it. But this guy was basically saying you have to be this like overtly masculine guy. You have to be like this tough guy to get girls. And I was basically telling him the guys I know that get the most girls are almost kind of gay looking. Like they're more metrosexual. I've done much better taking girls to get a manicure pedicure than doing axe throwing, or I don't know, doing something with a girl that's a more normal date. And he didn't really believe us. And I was like, look, you'll hook up with more girls. I was just being hyperbolic. I was like, if you just pretend to be gay, you'll hook up with more girls. And the guy says, no, what do you mean? What do you mean? And I go, literally, if you just walk up and pretend to be a homosexual, it will lower the walls of a woman. She'll want to be around you. And I mean, I know plenty of women that have hooked up with gay guys. And I'm not, I meant this to be an exaggeration. I wasn't actually, implying that this guy should actually, act gay. I was just like kind of saying this is exaggeration, because at the time I knew this guy. I knew this guy at the time, and he would wear the tightest jeans. He would kind of even talk kind of flamboyantly. He was definitely very straight, but I used to play this game in a nightclub. I'd be like, is this guy a gay or a PUA? And the game was gay or PUA, because PUAs would have the skinny scarves, and your average PUA looks a little bit gay. You know what I mean? And it was kind of funny because a guy is getting better with women when he just looks a little gayer. And it's the only guys that are uncomfortable with that are guys who aren't okay with their sexuality, right? And then the guy kind of pushed us, and then Owen was talking to some girl, and I'm like, watch this. And I walk up to Owen, and I'm like, I look at the girl, and I'm like, don't fucking talk to my man. That's my man. Don't fucking talk to him. And then it clicked in her mind that we were gay. And then all of a sudden she starts hugging us, and she's like, you guys are so awesome. And I was like, yeah, why don't you just fucking kiss him then if you're going to do all this? Just fucking kiss him. And then she starts kissing Owen. And this guy who thought you need to be this like brooding alpha, UFC fighter of a man kind of guy, right? He was wearing flannel, and he thought it was tough guys that get results. This girl just starts making out with Owen in seconds after saying this, right? And it was pretty funny because we have all this recorded. So then Owen was literally like, yeah, why don't you, put your hands on my man's ass or something, or grab him in the crotch or something. And she starts like groping me basically, and it was pretty funny. And it was a pretty funny story, because at one point I'm like, but I'm not gay, right? And I just went to like my normal voice. She got so mad, she punched me in the face. She like threw my hat off and threw it on the ground. And Owen and I thought it was pretty funny that, obviously women have a lot more leeway with the things that they can do. Obviously, I didn't say anything or do anything back. I just took it or whatever. But it was just kind of funny how, it was a big joke. So anyway, we would actually do this act. We did that act more than several weekends in a row every once in a while, where just very consistently we'd see how far we could move the needle on that. I just remember that was a pretty funny story in that regard. I mean, it's just funny how many guys just have this weird notion in their mind of what gets results. Now, obviously, the haters will say that I remember one hater would say that we were just telling guys to pretend to be gay to get with girls or whatever, which obviously isn't the case. It was just a little example of women don't want men who are just these men who are pretending to be alpha, right? What men will look at a guy like Vin Diesel, for example, and be like, oh, I bet every girl wants to be like him, back in the day or whatever. Now we'll look at some very masculine guy, and it's like that's a guy's guy. There's a big difference between what men think women want and then what women want, right? And I think that a lot of guys just don't realize that. Most men who work out are actually too built for your average woman, right? In most ways, right? Now, you lift weights for yourself, ideally, not just for girls, obviously. But at the end of the day, women want a Michael Phelps type of guy from an ideal physical standpoint, right? They don't necessarily want the Ronnie Coleman or the Mr. Olympia kind of bodybuilder, right? And I think something that a lot of guys have to kind of realize is they have to put themselves in women's shoes and actually understand. Having female friends is what's going to help you actually understand that. So that's kind of a funny story that gave us a lot of content, because we really were able to break down for a lot of clients what actually gets guys, results.
Yeah, it's funny about the gyms actually, because a lot of guys do bodybuilding and they get compliments from other men instead of women.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if you ever go to a bodybuilding show, it's all men in the audience. There's not exactly a lot of, hot women in the audience throwing their panties on stage. Whereas you have like the rock star who dresses, you have Harry Styles who wears a dress and every girl wants to fuck him. I'm not exactly saying to go wear a dress. It's just something to kind of that men have to kind of realize is what's actually attractive to women. Do you want to kind of bro out? I used to call it the cock fest of success. You see a lot of these like manosphere YouTube channels and like, men's men, and like a lot of these YouTube channels you'll see where it's just kind of guys like hating on women to almost have their, I don't know, get their rocks off or have success. What they fail to understand is that just brings more men around. It doesn't really bring more women around. And you're right about the guy kind of mentality.